Lucasfilm was kind enough to give us 2 episodes this week, and I'm so glad they did. Infiltration and Extraction go so well together they play out like one long episode. This whole season has just been delivering across the board on anything and everything you'd want from the last season of The Bad Batch, which is another ending to the Clone Wars. Episode 6 opens with Rex. He's running a mission with his crew filled with familiar clones. Senator Chuchi is sitting down with Senator Singh. The two were on opposite sides during the Galactic Civil War, but are now unified in not wanting to be part of a galactic empire. Bringing back more familiar faces is always great for fans, but the scene works even if you don't remember exactly who these two are. Their conversation was short, but packed with a lot of interesting information. Planets that were enemies mere months before these events have common ground now. The Emperor is actually concerned with the populations rallying against him. This brings to mind Tarkin's quote about the Death Star in A New Hope. Fear will keep the local systems in line. Palpatine has to pretend he cares about the thoughts of his subjects until he has the ability to silence an entire population at once. That's why the Senate stays around until Zero BBY. He needs the people to feel they have some say. There's an assassin after Senator Singh. He disrupts the meeting but is apprehended fairly quickly, quicker than I thought he would be. There's a clone under the helmet, and we're led to believe that this isn't the first time that Rex and his men have encountered. They refer to him as a shadow. A little bit later in the episode, Crosshair fills in some of these blanks for us. A mystery that I thought would be chasing for at least a few episodes. This elite group is conditioned and run by Hemlock himself. Hemlock tried to make Crosshair one of these shadows. That could be why his hand has a tremor the training didn't take, but I still maintain that the tremor is a mental block and Crosshair refused to be a shadow more than he was physically unable. Even when given this great information, Crosshair is guarded. The captured Shadow Trooper did recognize Crosshair and even tries to throw him under the bus with his new allies, but it didn't really take. Not only was the assassin after Singh, but a data puck he had on him revealed that he was after Omega. Rex agrees with, who I'm pretty sure is Hauser, that it's time to call Hunter and bring the Bad Batch back to their stronghold. A second Shadow operative is dispatched to eliminate the captured one and find Omega. The Shadows all have a tracking chip in them that's undetectable by the clones' usual means. The second Shadow is on them quickly. He infiltrates the base with really no opposition. And for a group of seasoned veteran soldiers bred for war and now labeled as traitors, their perimeter defenses are pretty lax. We briefly return to Tantus. That's us, the viewers, and not the Bad Batch. Hemlock dispatches a special team to back up his Shadow operative. I didn't expect to be seeing Tantus again so soon. I thought it wouldn't be until the inevitable assault to free the rest of the clones. Omega also had some great moments in these 2 episodes, even if she wasn't the primary focus. Echo giving her a new weapon, but one in the same vein as the bow she used to carry, was a nice touch. And on the Marauder, she was mirroring Crosshair. The mirroring is something that Omega's always done with her big, or actually little brothers. It's something that I love because it still makes her a child. These childlike moments are great to see in the middle of the war that she's been involved with ever since she met her new family. Her resilience and optimism are why she's the heart of the team. She also had a great moment where she did get to be the center of attention. She got to tell the rebellious clones about the testing for M-count on Tantus. No one exactly knew what M-count means, but Rex did have some familiarity with it. It won't be long for them to figure it out. I did find it a little bit strange that none of the regs, especially Rex, didn't know M-count. With all the time they spent with the Jedi, how close Rex and the rest of the 501st were to Ahsoka and Anakin, all those years together in war where bonds are really forged, that concept never came up. Either way, it's now been said aloud, and in this rapid-paced season, it won't sit around for too long before they know what's going on. And we'll probably learn even more about Project Necromancer. The big action piece for these episodes was astounding. The visuals and sound in these Star Wars animated projects have gotten better practically every episode since 2008 when the Clone Wars computer animated series launched. When the second Shadow agent attacks the base, his tactics are logical. He takes out the comms, he takes out the shuttle, and then he goes for his mission objectives. They're all taken care of in due course. The action is exciting while having stakes for our heroes. The new big bad is formidable, but the series showed some restraint on not having their newest shiniest toy be better than all the previous ones. The regs in the batch are just as capable as they always have been. They were taken by surprise, but they're not outplayed. The first of this pairing of episodes ends with 2 bangs, a literal and an emotional. The thermal detonators landing near the fallen flamethrower was such a cool touch, and then we see Wolf as the clone leading the hunt for Omega. Unlike the inclusion of Chuchi and Sing in the beginning of the episode, the Wolf reveal doesn't really land for newer fans, but I don't care. It was awesome just the same. If we had to wait another week, I would have been satisfied with the amount of content we got to carry us through, but we didn't have to. 14 seconds later, we're in the next episode, Extraction. It picks up as if it was one continuous episode. Wolf isn't thrilled with the unknown Shadow Trooper. He's not happy that the base was blown up when Omega is supposed to be brought in unharmed. He was especially unhappy when he learned that the insurgents he was supposed to be hunting were clones. Wolf's men pursue the batch, and there's another awesome action sequence. The batch use smoke bombs to disorient and throw off. The Bad Batch use smoke bombs to disorient and throw off their pursuers. They do solid work thinning the numbers of their attackers. The environmental effects, along with the camera movements and the coloring punctuating the dark fog, it was incredible. The whole thing was even punctuated by a Wilhelm scream. The best action scenes don't just exist to look cool. That's a great part of them for sure, but when they move the story and characters forward as well, all the better. Crosshair and the Shadow Trooper have a duel. This whole scene is a great metaphor for Crosshair facing down his past. It's Crosshair making the right moral choice, fighting against a version of what he could have been and even was briefly. To further the metaphor, they're both fighting the current of a river. If you lose yourself, you'll get swept away to forces beyond your control, which is exactly what happens to the Shadow Trooper. It almost happens to Crosshair, but a helping hand pulls him back. The metaphor is a bit on the nose, but I loved it. It did a lot for Crosshair. It was another step on his apology tour, since it was the clone that I think is Hauser that ultimately saves him, and the Shadow version himself, what he could have been, gets lost in the current. Well done, Filoni. The very end felt a bit rushed. Wolf and his team have our heroes cornered. Hunter tries to reason with him. Wolf is pretty easily convinced to let them all go. You could make arguments for the Clone Brotherhood, that the Empire's been disrespecting the clones, the destruction of Kamino, the exemplary records of Clone Force 99, Rex, and the 501st. Wolf must have had some pre-existing doubts, but it did seem that the realizations came on a little fast. Not to mention there was a clone commando right next to Wolf the whole time, and so far we've only seen the commandos as pretty much droids, just following orders to the letter. And he just goes along with it. This small little blip of convenience didn't stop me from absolutely loving these two episodes. The overall plot is racing forward, the character development was handled expertly and without exposition, the action was incredible, and the wider Star Wars themes were all present and accounted for. We're about halfway through the season, and there's a whole lot more ground to cover. What did you think of this latest outing for the Bad Batch? Drop a note in the comments, and we'll talk about it again next week.